Okay. Um, it did something different. So,
Ooh.
but I think it's working. Um, wait a second. Now we are live.
Oh, good.
Back with another catharsis healing talk. We have a great show for you today, and Laura is going to get us started. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to our amazing, fabulous Katasi Healing Talks. I'm Laura Ketty. Next to me is Laura Philpott. And with us today is the, I would say, dynamic duel, but it makes it sound too common, way too common. We have with this Helmut and Kay, and they are our teachers. And Kay has been the keeper of the Katasi tradition in the modern world, bringing such amazing understandings from the far, far, far ancient worlds back to us in modern world. And so today, welcome, both of you. Today, we're talking about some of these teachings and specifically about living in the box or out of the box. You know, is on the Matrix, they would say taking the red pill or the blue pill. We've opted red, go team red. Mm-hmm. But we're asking Kay today if she wouldn't mind sharing with us the difference between living those two lives and what that means ultimately to our health and happiness, and maybe even our planet. Yeah. So Kay, I pass it off to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Two different, totally opposite ways of living. 100% opposite lifestyles. In the box. I've used that phrase a lot in different talks and classes and things that we've done, and it's those are the words choices of my teachers. That's the imagery that they liked the best, was this box. And the box for them is, pardon me, I have a little issue thing here. Hang on. Wait, it worked. I didn't mess everything up. So the box, they describe this as like a cardboard box. That's the picture. That's the metaphor. A cardboard box that's big enough for you to climb inside and sit down. And it's all sealed up. There's no openings, there's no doors, there's no windows, no cracks, there's no holes anywhere. Light does not seep in from any little crack or corner. And in front of you inside that box is a great big TV screen, fills out the whole side of that box. And then you've got a headset on, goes to the screen so you can hear what's on the screen. And this is the picture of how we learn how to live in our modern culture. The Hedekas described our modern way of life and living inside this box as being asleep. Just completely fogged out, drugged out, numbed out, asleep, and not paying attention to too much of anything. Just the little pieces of things that are right in front of you that you need to do for just everyday life. That's what you're paying attention to. And you don't really notice that you're stuck in a box And you don't really notice that everything that you're seeing is something that's made up. It's artificial, it's constructed, and it's on that screen. We're taught in the modern culture from the time we're born. We're taught that this is real life. This is the real world. This is your real reality. And that's just the way it is. And everything that you see in that box on the screen and on your headphones that you're hearing, that's all there is. Just like that old song from the 40s or 50s. Is that all there is? That's it. That's all you get. We're programmed. We're taught these things. We're fed all this information that people have been passing down from generation to generation to generation for thousands of years, and with only slight variations, depending on the culture and changes in the century and little things like that. But the basics, it's all the same, hasn't changed. It's programming to keep you asleep, to keep you thinking that being in that box is normal, and that is your total consciousness, your total awareness, that there's nothing else outside the box, and that you've got the truth of things. In that box, you've got the truth of things. That's who you are, and that's what you are, and that's who and what everybody else is, and that's what our planet is, and that's what life is like, and that's what science is, and medicine, and all the things that we know in our modern life. Consumerism, everything. Our ideals, our morals and ethics, it's all fed to us. Fed through the screen and the headset inside the box. We're literally brainwashed from the time that we're born, and we don't know any different. Now, inside of us, there's a feeling inside when you let yourself turn your attention that way and feel it, that this isn't quite right. There's something off with this way of life. There's something important that's missing. When we're in that box, we have these pictures that are given to us of what the world is and what it looks like, how it behaves, what the dynamics are of everything in nature and in society, all of it. We're told about human behavior and human interactions and how they're supposed to be. We're given pictures of this, pictures and instructions, and we're told, this is who you're supposed to be. This picture here, you're supposed to behave and act and feel and experience just like this picture. This is the right thing to do and to be. This is your goal in life. This is the have to and the should, all of that. Here it is. Here's the picture. This is you. Be a good little child and follow the picture, follow the instructions. Don't go out of the lines. Can't draw or color outside the lines. We're told, here's the picture of somebody else, your siblings, your parents, your teachers at school, your classmates, all the people in the world, people you see on the screen. This is who they are. And this is what they're like. And this is how they behave. And this is what they think. And this is how you're supposed to interact with them. And we learn how to interact and behave on automatic pilot. We're given these scripts and these pictures, and we learn how to just play them out, play the part. And we don't think anything of it because we don't know there's anything else. We might feel that deep inside, there's got to be something else here. And sometimes we feel like that picture doesn't feel like what I feel like inside myself. That's not the picture of me that I want. I don't want to be that person or be like that. I don't want people to think that picture about me. But we usually hide that and bury it and ignore it, shove it aside, and go right back into trying to be a good citizen, good human being in our modern culture, and do all the right things, the better than things. We're taught that the world is a hierarchy. In this box with everybody else that's, in their boxes next to us and out across the planet, that there's a hierarchy, a better than and less than. Better than up at the top, less than down at the bottom, everything in between on a scale. And we're taught that we're supposed to always try to be better than everybody else. And that all these people under you on this ladder, this hierarchy, they are less than you. They're not as good as you. They don't do everything as well as you do. They're not following the picture as well as you are. They're not playing the game as well as you do. And we learn what it takes to play those games and climb our way up the ladder. And usually to get up the ladder a little farther, somebody's there in our way, knocking them off, knocking them down is the most common picture. Somehow belittling them or judging them, proving them to be less effective in their job or as a mate, or, on and on. And we knock them off the ladder and we climb up, and we are now much better than we were before. And we're better than all those other people. And they are less than in many, many different ways. We spend our whole life doing that, following a false picture, trying to be something that we are not, trying to be a person, a member of a society that is ruthless, makes no sense. That hierarchical picture says that we're all separated. We're all separated from each other. There's no connectedness. We interact. We learn how to live with each other when we have to, until we really absolutely can't. We're taught, it's all learned behavior. It's all programming. It's all these concepts and ideas and about what everything is, who everything is, what we're supposed to do. We've taken those ideas on, those beliefs. We're taught to take them inside ourselves deeply and fashion ourselves around these blindly held beliefs. We're taught not to question. Don't question any of these ideas. Just hold the beliefs and hold them with a lot of emotional charge, dogmatically, like a religion, a dogmatic religion. And anybody that we can run across that has conflicting beliefs, then they're wrong. They're wrong. You're right. They're wrong. You're right. And you're better than, you're up the ladder. They're less than, they're down the ladder. We're living our whole lives with this separation concept and conflict and a vicious kind of competition with each other about anything and everything. That makes for a lot of stress. A lot of stress. It's not a very comfortable way to live, even when you get used to it, which we do. We get so used to it that we become addicted to it all. We become addicted to all those blindly held beliefs. And we're very, very afraid to question any of it or let any of it go. Because in order to make any sense out of it, we think that it has to be right. It has to be correct. And I have to live up to it. Somewhere inside us, we know that there's something really, really wrong with that whole setup, really wrong with all those pictures and the hierarchy, that this is not a natural thing in nature. This is not our basic human nature. It goes against it. And we could feel that. We feel the hole that it makes. We feel the emptiness. We feel the loss. We feel this intense loss, and we can't put our finger on what we lost. Where's that coming from? Sometimes when we have a loss in our lives, like a family member, a loved one has died, and there is a loss, maybe we can put a tag on this other loss, the deeper loss that we feel, and we label it with that immediate physical life loss. But it doesn't match, and it doesn't fill the hole. And we're always doing all kinds of things in our lives to try to fill that gap, fill the hole up. We have all kinds of addictive behaviors that we've learned. First, we learned how to be addicted to this way of thinking and judging and condemning everything and condemning ourselves because we're always less than. We get very addicted to that. Even those are uncomfortable feelings. We're addicted to them, and they're familiar, and we keep going back to them and back to them and back to them, and trying to repeat to ourselves, this must be right. This must be true, because we've been told it our whole lives. This whole world runs on this. All the whole modern world runs on all these dynamics. This picture, it's got to be right. How could all those people be wrong? So we often get very hung up. We get really addicted on all kinds of little things. We're addicted to the newest one, the phone, our smartphones. We're addicted to the phone and everything that you can do on the phone and everything you can connect with on the phone, the internet. We're addicted to our computers. We're addicted to TV and movies and the kind of shows that are coming up. People now are getting addicted to looking at things on the internet, YouTube, and other kinds of videos and stuff that people put out. We get addicted to all sorts of foods, especially sugar. And our modern culture has purposefully invented sugar and other bad foods, modern industrialized denatured foods like plant-based oils, seed oils, grain oils. Those are deadly, but we've become very addicted to them. And I think a lot of people are starting to notice, you hear a lot of stuff about the addictive quality of sugar and foods that are really high in sugar. Even fruit. It's easy to think fruit, oh, fruit, it's natural, it grows on a tree, you just pull it off the tree and you chomp it down. But people get carried away with it. They're used to having really large amounts of sugar, so they eat large amounts of fruit year round when fruit's not available. And that's a very unhealthy thing, a very confusing thing for our body. It really does so many things we won't get into here about ruining your health. Every aspect of your body that you could think of ruins your health. And then there's all this other processed food. People get very addicted to the crunchy, salty, oily properties of things like chips, snack food. We get addicted to other kinds of things, gaming, gambling, certainly substances like alcohol, drugs, pharmaceuticals. When we really stop and look at that and we question it and see just how pervasive all this addictive behavior is, that can't be normal. That can't be right or healthy. But that's the way we live in the box. That's a very big part of our culture. And all those things help keep us in the box. When we are out of the box, when we don't have any box at all, that is a very different way of living. When you think about it, if you've spent your whole life literally in a cardboard box, and all you have to connect to others in the world is a screen, TV screen, and a headset, and you've never really knew that there was anything like real daylight or real trees that have all these sensory properties to them. There's smell, and you can touch them, and they all have all these different textures and temperatures, and there's things underneath your feet, not just the floor of the box, the floor of your house, paved streets, office buildings. There's things like real dirt, real soil, real rocks, fallen leaves off of the trees, the branches. There's so much out there in nature that's not inside the box. You may have seen pictures of it in the box. You may have this idea of what you think a tree is, and the ground and the dirt and all these other, the animals and the plants and the sky, air, the water. We think we know because we've seen all these pictures and we're told stories about what these things are and what they mean in our lives and how, as a human in our modern culture, we relate to these things. But when you don't have the box, there are no preconceived ideas. There's the world, the real world, right there. And there you are as an infant and a toddler and a small child, and you're engaging the real thing. You're playing with, touching, chewing on, talking to a real tree. You're smelling the real tree. You're engaging the real dirt with so many different kinds of minerals and plant particles, microbes. Boy, zillions of microbes, the living water. You have nothing that was taught to you that would block you from interacting and perceiving these things firsthand. Firsthand. And the ancients say that when we're born, we're awake. We are fully awake. We have no programming. We have no automatic programmed behavior responses. We have absolutely no experience of this hierarchy in the culture and the demands to follow these different pictures and ideas that are pre-designed, shoved in your face, that you just have to adopt. You don't have any of that. You're engaging real, live dirt and rocks, trees, plants, animals for who and what they are. You're interacting for real. You to this other living entity. You feel, you know your connectedness. You feel it. You know it when you're born. This deep, deep connectedness that can never be severed. Not even when you're in the box. It's not really gone. It's not severed. We're just lied to. We're told that it doesn't exist. So we try to live that out. We pretend that there's no connectedness. And we believe it strongly, blindly, dogmatically. But when we don't have a box, when we're awake, none of that programming has ever gotten in the way. We know who we are. We know we're connected. We know the feeling of true connectedness, heart to heart, and what my teachers, the Atticas, would call song to song. With everything else around us, we feel the aliveness and the intelligence, the consciousness of everything. Everything. And we feel the love that's coming from all these different things that are alive. Our world is totally, completely made up of things that are conscious and alive. And we are experiencing it unhindered. And as we grow up, we just learn how to experience that truth more and more and more. When I started studying with the Peruvian teachers, Domano and Chia Hedica, I was sitting, we were at the beach, I was in the sand, and we were away from where the waves could come up on the sand. So there's these little plants that grow in the sand there. And I was told to just sit there and play with the sand, look at the sand, talk with the sand, feel the sand, feel it. Feel its aliveness, feel its presence. Run it through your hands, rub it on your face. Feel it. Feel it with your heart, your center, your song. Explore it. Explore the connectedness. And in the beginning, when I was sitting there, all this stuff was pretty new to me, these concepts. And I'm doing the best that I can. My instructions are to get in a meditative state, get very relaxed and calm, and feel. That's my song. Feel my lights. Feel the aliveness of everything else. So here I'm in the sand, and to be paying attention to this sand.
Hey, Kay, we've lost your audio.
Oh no.
It's soft, but it's. Oh, I think you're back.
I'm back.
No, not yet.
Can you hear me now?
There you are.
There I am. Okay. Where did you lose me?
You were saying
Your instructions.
the feeling the stand, feel your song.
So with everything that the Hedekas and the Egyptian teacher taught me, everything begins with getting in a meditative state, getting the babble out of your mind. Just like stop. Getting really quiet inside. And then aiming your attention to perceive whatever was the teaching of the day, whatever the goal was. So this day, it was the sand, and I'm sitting, I've got bare feet, and sand, it starts getting everywhere. And it's in my, like a little kid starting to be in my hair, and it's getting up in the pant legs, and it's getting up my sleeves and all that kind of stuff. But I'm really, really doing the best that I can. I'm feeling my own unique signature, my own unique piece of creator. That's what they call our song. Poetic reference to name your spirit, your soul, your song. And it's a good name because it's very accurate in so many ways. So we get in this quiet state. Excuse me. Seem to have a lot of frogs these days. So, and try to get all of our preconceived ideas out, to set them aside, set them out. All the programming that we have about, this is real, that's not real, this is the way this is, et cetera, all of them. Don't believe any of them, set them aside, out of the picture. And I'm playing with the sand, and I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden, I remember sitting very much like that in the dirt outside the back door of the house that we lived in at that time. Very close by is the fence with the dog, Duchess, our Dalmatian dog. It's on the other side of that fence. And she was a good partner in play for me. And I was left out there. I think the kitchen door was left open. My mother could, see me, watch me. I wasn't abandoned or anything. But that was a common thing back in those days of leaving a very small child. I was still in the middle of potty training. That's how little I was. I don't think I had a diaper on. I think I probably had a little training panties on it and whatever pants, shorts or something I had. And I got so involved in this dirt, which some of it was really wet, so it was real muddy. So it was, the water that was in there, and all of it was sparkling. And not just because it was reflecting water. That was only a tiny piece of this one area that was wet. The rest of it was sparkling on its own in many, 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 many different colors. And the color would come, boom, it's there, and oops, it's not. And then they're moving around, and they're all interacting, buzzing with each other. And everything was alive. It was so, so very, very alive. All the dirt, everything that was in the dirt, the water in the dirt, the air around it, the air I was breathing. And I was just in love with it. And I'm talking with it, and I'm singing to it. And I'm, like, ah, and I had it all over me. It was such an honor. It was a beautiful interaction to just start covering myself. And of course, when you're that age, and I was there, I guess, a pretty long time, very busy, very totally involved. And of course, I didn't pay any attention to potty training rules. You just, you just go. And not even noticing, just being so in love with the connectedness and the interaction and the beauty, the beauty of all of this life, so much life. And they were informing me of things, and they were gifting me with things and love and energies. And I could feel it all the way inside my body and out. It was just so delicious and so healthy and so happy. I was so passionate about this experience. And then my mother notices me. She really did like me to be clean and not, she just put those clothes on me, and now they're all muddy. And I may have just had a bath too. I don't know, but I'm definitely muddy now. And so, and of course the siblings come out, the older siblings, and then they're laughing and they're pointing and they're saying how I'm doing everything all wrong. And, you're not supposed to do that. And so I'm getting shamed and condemned and belittled and judged. But it didn't faze me. It was just, and I was puzzled. I was thoroughly puzzled and confused, astonished that none of them could see any of that. I think that may have been one of my earliest experiences of really noticing and getting it. They didn't see it. They didn't feel it. They didn't know anything about it. They had no relating to the extraordinariness of the life, the joy, the beauty, the love, the power, how it connected. I mean, deliciously, beautifully connected in this nest of soft, healing, loving, nourishing energy and information and love from everything that was around me. And just an inch away from the mud that I was digging in was the blackberry bush. And it must have been summer because they were ripe, and I was putting some in my mouth because they were so good. And of course, some of that, went all over me as well, and the clothes. So I got yanked up, and really disappointing to be yanked up out of that incredible aliveness experience and this beautiful exchange and fun and play, like a dance, uh, with all my friends. These beautiful, beautiful, caring, healing friends that were protecting me, nourishing me, and entertaining me, and I was entertaining them. And it was such an equal. There was so much equality there. There's no judgment, none whatsoever. No judging, no condemnation, no hierarchy. It was so delicious. I was so in love with all of that, the experience of it. And of course, yanked in, pulled in the house. I don't remember. I could guess, I could assume what the next steps were. The bathtub. And more scolding and belittling. But as I'm an adult, I'm sitting in the sand. And I remembered that. I remembered it. I mean, a full body, full consciousness, full interior experiencing. I remembered that. And then I could see it live in that moment in the sand. I could experience it again right there, right then. Just astounding beauty of it all. When we're not living in a box, and certainly if we never had a box, all of this way of living and thinking and being, which is our natural way of being, is there. It's present. It hasn't gone away. It hasn't deteriorated. It hasn't been lied out of us. And it makes life astoundingly beautiful. Everything after that moment in my life, it was a huge change because I couldn't not see and perceive and feel. It's the feeling experience. It isn't just a thing with your eyes. It isn't a thing. I think I lost my sound. Anything?
Yeah, it just went.
Is it equipment?
Oh, it's back.
It's back?
Yep.
Okay. It might be that cord. Try not to touch. Don't go near the cord. So in varying degrees of intensity, I continued to this day to feel the connectedness. All my teachers, they always said that in learning these spiritual things, that it's a far more about feeling and experiencing than it is thinking with words. Our linear mind is the tool of our song. It's a tool for our spirit, our soul, our consciousness. It's not intended to be the one that's sitting on the throne running the show. That's what it's become in our modern culture. That's what we're taught. We're taught to do that. But to learn the spiritual side of things and the true nature of what spiritual is and what our spiritual nature is, what the spiritual nature of everything around us is. And this connectedness is extremely beautiful, deep, deep and very active, interactive connectedness. It's always there, and it's always flowing back and forth with love and the beauty of things, with information, life energy, healing, information about the world. The tree is sending information about itself and its life in this moment, and what life has been like today, what it has been experiencing. And I feel that. I have experience of a little bit of what life is like for the tree, and how all these different dynamics, they're so alive and so very interactive. How they work, how they come about, what's happening in the moment. You get the information that they've been having all this rain for days, tons of rain all night, pouring rain. We're in a desert, and we get a lot of droughts. It's very easy, very common for things to go into a drought state here. And having this much rain, even the natives say that they haven't seen it for a long time. But there was a time back when that this was a normal summer, having all this rain. It's a monsoon type season. And the trees are, they're just soaking it up. They're just in this in love state. They're all excited. They're all just like flushed with the nourishments. And the rain has pulled the smoke out of the air. We've had so many really, really bad fires. But the smoke can be so bad that I can't go outside. I have to keep all the doors and the windows closed, and got an air cleaner. But if I go out too long, it really affects me. And that's most people in this area. To be outside very long, you really start feeling it in your sinuses and your lungs and your eyes. But the air is clear, and you can smell and feel that there's more oxygen. The trees, the plants have been putting out a larger amount of oxygen than they have for months. And all that information is all there. It all exists, and it's all alive in the field that is between everything and inside everything. And it's part of what is our connectedness. All the information is there. All this love, beauty, like it's hard for us people in the modern world to imagine. We're so used to living in things that are no longer based on beauty. The cities that are built that are not based on beauty. Pavement on the roads everywhere and all that stuff. When you're out of the box, when you don't have any box, and you are able to aim your attention and your focus, quiet the babble and aim your focus into feeling, experiencing, feeling, perceiving this connectedness to that tree, to your loved ones, to those around you that don't even really know. They're passing them in the grocery store, in the car that just whizzed by the other way. We're connected, and it's beautiful. There's so much beauty in all of it. When we're in the box, we think there's no connection at all, and so we just turn it all off. We don't look for it. We don't feel for it. Our mind is just babbling away like crazy, and we're trying to, with our linear mind, analyze everything, try to remember everything. We're having less and less peace in our modern world and in our box. There isn't any real peace in the box. And out of the box, it's always a beautiful, deep, whole body felt, heart felt peace, joy, laughter, fun, happiness, play, passion. We feel our own aliveness. We feel the aliveness of everything else. But just even in feeling our own aliveness and how connected we are to our own aliveness and our own consciousness, deeply, deeply, deliciously connected. When we're in the box, we don't feel it. We learned how to deny its existence and turn it off. That's a very empty way to live. Very painful way to live. And we learn to ignore that. That's supposed to be normal. When it comes to interacting with other humans, your best friends, your family, your lover, your kids, your parents. When you're out of the box, that connectedness is everything. It's so beautiful and delicious. I'm using those words an awful lot, but they're very descriptive and they're very accurate. We have our own song, it's heart-based. They have their own song, heart-based. Their aliveness, their consciousness, their love, the beauty that they are. The wondrousness of who this other individual is, who is thinking, is feeling emotionally, feeling with the rest of their body and their spirit. And they're there to be with you and to feel you and to experience you and to share ideas. And we're sharing a lot of things telepathically. And of course, being Earth humans of this era, we have to do a lot of speaking, clarify things, fill in the gaps that we missed with our budding, brand new telepathic abilities that are cropping up in humanity. I can't imagine living without those things. After I remembered the dirt and I experienced it again in the sand, I realized that I was connected to everything just as much, just as deeply. And everything each in its own way, so very, very different, was incredibly beautiful with so much aliveness and so much consciousness. I saw it in the plants nearby on the sand. And a little ways off, there's some Monterey oak trees that live right there on the edge of the sand. And it was just this huge aliveness. It's that first time of seeing, feeling, experiencing it that way, like being hit with an energy bomb. Whoa. And everything about it's so alive. And all the little bugs, there's bugs on it, and they're all alive, and they got all colors and this energy and their whole life purpose, their signatures, very different. That energy signature of their song, compare the sand to the tree, to those bugs, and there's Chia there, my teacher. It's like, wow, I had no idea. You know, I've heard the teachers say things alluding to this connectedness and the beauty and all this and love and this energy. But if you haven't experienced it, it's still just words. And it sounds really nice. It sounds really pretty. It's a beautiful idea, but you haven't really experienced it yet. But if you let yourself experience it, your whole world changes, your whole life changes. All of a sudden, this old scary lady, Chia, she was scary enough as it was already because she just didn't fit the picture of a person her age with white hair and a lot of wrinkles on her face. And she's so physically fit and physically active and so much energy, personal energy, and knowing herself and her world and her connectedness and what she had the ability to do in the world. And where that ability, where those kind of powers ended, she knew, she lived it, she was it. And when I first met her, that scared the bejesus out of me because women her age were, had canes and walkers and rocking chairs and sipping tea and talking about the old days. That would be about it. And thought of as quite a bit less than everybody else in the culture, useless. And just more people that somebody has to take care of, kind of thing. Just totally different. Opposite of that. And now, with this experience, I experienced a whole lot more of who and what she really was. Her beingness, the nature of her song, and her place, her work in the world, her purpose for being here on the earth. She lived it. She owned it. That her identity had to do with her song, her consciousness. That's who she thought of as herself, not anybody's labels and somebody else's picture of who they thought she was or should be. This experience is just incredibly beautiful. It just blew apart so many of the ideas that I had before studying with them that I learned in my own little box, being asleep and programmed about who we are, what we are, who other people are, who and what humanity is, what life is, what aliveness and consciousness is, and how much of it there is everywhere, how connected everything is. So that's, in a nutshell, the difference between being in the box, living in the box, and living outside the box. Whether you were born living outside the box and stayed there, or you learned how to get out of your box and they're now living outside your box. The box doesn't exist anymore. Two very different ways of being, of living, experiencing. So I can't wait to hear what you, Laura and Laura, what your thoughts are, maybe experiences you've had, or whatever it is you want to talk about. Your reaction, Helmut, whatever you have in your thoughts or response. And I see there is one question in there. Anybody with any other kinds of questions, fire away.
Thank you, Kay. So beautiful.
Thank you.
This has been a really beautiful descriptions of the teachings. Very, very deep and moving. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for joining me and being part of this. And everybody out there, I never know what I'm going to be talking about. Do these things, or when we're having a Q&A with the students and they're asking me questions, I never know ahead of time what I'm going to be saying. So how this talk turned out, where it went, what I talked about has an awful lot to do with everybody listening live, listening later to the recordings. You three here, and others that are with us. That's you pull together out of me what needs to be said. And the spirits are always there. They're always helping. They're always guiding. And it's always very, very appropriate for who I'm speaking with. So I thank you all. So what you got?
Thank you, Kay. Well, when I think about when I first started learning about Katasi, I remember specifically asking myself, because you had said your consciousness, your awareness. And I'm like, well, what is that? I mean, really, what is that? And then, of course, I started doing the song ceremony and kind of feeling for what that was. And what I noticed is as I got to know more and more about what my song was, my idea of who and what I was expanded as well. And my happiness ended up not depending on what everybody else was thinking or what they wanted me to do. I mean, I just started poking holes in that box just by learning what my song was and knowing that I was consciousness and awareness. And it just kept growing from there because as I got to know that I was more than that, I approached life from that bigger perspective. And then that feeling where you could feel, and of course, then you start feeling everybody else. And I think the biggest change for me is when I started to learn my song, I developed a worthiness, a love for myself that was kind of blocking everything else that was going on, because I wasn't perceiving from myself. I was perceiving how everybody else was seeing me. And it just kind of poked a few more holes in my box. And it just kept going from there. I mean,
Yeah, you said that in there, you perceive the beauty in all things. And so when you're perceiving, when you connect to your song, you're perceiving the beauty in you. And you want to be always in that beauty. It's just, it makes me, I crave being around people who are doing this work, whether it's, in these classes, but doing this work of coming out of their boxes, and really perceiving the world. Because when they're truly experiencing it, there is nothing but beauty and unconditional love. There's not a chance. That's always the thing, is like when I hear people waking up and they're more fearful and more angry, and I'm like, what box did you leap from, one box to the other? Because, what you said, experience it. We intentionally parent in a way to keep them from making mistakes, keep our kids out of harm. But a lot of times we're looking at the harm through our fears and not through the reality of what's really there and the opportunities that's right there. My adult nephew, late 20s, I think now, I've kind of lost track. Anyways, his mom and I were walking with him in the park, and I was encouraging him to touch the fire, basically. And you should, to have experience. He had made a mistake. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was fantastic. Look at all the things you learned. I'm like, don't believe us. I'm not going to live your life. I'm like, go touch the fire. My sister about dropped her jaw. And I'm like, and I said, it was beautiful. He came out fine. He's fine. He's right there. And I said, but he learned so much. I think sometimes I often see the Wizard of Oz and these beautiful metaphors over and over and over again, especially in my life. I felt like I was in the dark monkey forest. I was the cowardly lion. And here comes like these amazing things to me. Dorothy, Toto, Tin Man, they're going to Oz. They're going to Wonderland. I jump out from behind the rock and I'm going to scare them away. Go away. I'm going to stay. I'm terrified of the monkey forest, but I'm going to scare away all the things that could take me out. But I think oftentimes what we do, okay, I'm out of the monkey forest, but now I'm in the poppy field. I'm just, that's what to deal with my fears. I'm just going to go to sleep, and that's not a way to Oz either. It's just that, doing one or the other, it's, and maybe that's the process of getting out of the box, and kind of was for me, but I think that need not to believe. So many practices hand you a belief system based off of somebody's experience at one point in time. And we lose our direct experience. And that's what I love about, the call of your song, how it begins. It's, here's tools to experience. I'm not going to experience from you. We share a lot in our group about the experiences we have. Which is utterly fat. Again, that's what starts happening. You experience song. You experience beauty, you have your mind blown continually, and you want to be around people who are also doing it. and more than breaking out of the box, it's almost like the box just falls away. It just absolutely falls away. And I kept hearing, not kept hearing, but I heard and remembered, I got the Sunday school bus, loved the Sunday school bus, didn't like Sunday school so much, but all the music, on the bus. And one of my favorite songs was This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine all the time. Hide it under the bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. And you were talking today about when you were talking about Chia, it was like, I remember that was like the one song I was like singing at the top of my lungs. And then you'd show up in Sunday school and it was everything opposite of that one song. So I think, seeing beauty and finding beauty and shining it, is kind of I'm going back to that 5-year-old, who knew it all these days, or all along those days. Now, it's, is 50 the new 5? Thank you, Kate. Those are my thoughts.
I know that
Thank
when I
you.
wake up in the morning now, I feel like I'm just looking for ways to extend love and gratitude and appreciation. I mean, it's just a part of my everyday thinking now. It's automatic, like breathing. And that was not the case before Katasi. Yeah. And I think that's partly too, because I feel that connection to everything. When you start to feel that connection to everything, you're just so much bigger,
cool,
so much more.
And you're cool. You're beautiful.
I mean, it's funny, even though I can see when someone's having masked experience, it's because oh, they're having a mask experience, and there's no judgment on my part. They're just, I know where they're at. And it's kind of fun. I mean, every day is an adventure. So many wonderful things to explore now. Thank you, Kay.
Thank you, guys.
I'm excited to hear you talk about Deanna's question.
Somebody has treated.
Deanna is back with a question about kids. We said we're going to do a talk about it, and we haven't.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, that, like I said, was I think maybe the most beautiful description of Katase I have ever heard you share.
Wow.
And maybe it's because it's so fresh and it's so deep and moving, but it's very beautiful. And for anybody on here or anybody listening later, you want to join us on this beautiful, beautiful adventure. We have the Call of Your Song coming up. katase.world/Call of Your Song. Okay. That's it. Are we going to talk about the kids? Or the grown-ups who guiding the kids?
I know. I see a book, Parenting Katasi. We might need Deanna to lead it.
Okay, here's the question. What advice do you have for parents to help their children recognize the cultural box, survive in the cultural box, and break out of the box at the same time? Do we want to do this, or do we want to come back?
Can we do both?
Can we do both?
Yeah, I'd love to hear Kate's answer, but I just feel like.
Let's vote.
Which one's both?
Just kidding.
Well, to survive in the box and what's in the box, to survive that existence in that world. You only need that if you're planning on staying in the box. So otherwise, the survival process, survival information is find out who you are. Find out who you are and what you are. And that means finding out who and what your song is, because that's who you really are. Your song is your spirit, your soul, your consciousness, your aliveness, your attention. That's your song. And the teachers, all of them, say that each one of us, each living thing on this planet, and they consider absolutely everything living, like rocks and the air and everything is a song. Not that it has a song as though it's something that's disposable. Everybody, everything is a song, and each is its own individual, unique piece of creator. Those are some super powerful words. And through the years, I've had experiences of understanding different levels of meaning of those words, of what that really is, because it's layers and layers and layers of the truth of who and what we are, and who and what everything else is. And we're all unique and individual, no two alike. Through all the eons, no two alike. The universe loves diversity, loves variety. The more, the better. And it loves love, because our universe is born from love, literally. Love is the material that creates 3D time space. That is the beginning material that is used to create everything. And it's still true to today. Everything is born of love. So as you begin to experience your song, who and what you are, and that's the only way you're going to find out about it. Talking about it, hearing about it, those are words. Though that kind of keeps you locked in that linear mind. And that's just one two-dimensional approach. They're only experiencing that one or two dimensions. Very flat, dull. The reality is we are multidimensional. So we've got 3 dimensions physically, and we've got time, and we've got all these other dimensions that don't have anything to do with time and space. They're nonlinear. And that's part of us. It's part of what our song is. It's part of what the universe is. It's part of what everything else is. When you start to experience the feeling of your own song, that changes everything. It's a life-changing experience. Your understanding of the world around you, the universe, yourself, and all the other selves, the other songs. It's like they suddenly come to life in full color and music, multidimensionally. And it happens with experiencing ourselves first. And we experience those things about ourselves, the beauty, and the love, the connectedness, the dance within ourselves as well as with everything in our universe, this dance of sharing love and information and energies and healing and knowledge and nourishment and all of it. There's such a beauty there. I know I use that word a lot, and to me it has as a very, very big and deep and full meaning. It's so beautiful, not just that it's something that you're looking at or you're listening to that's beautiful. It's so multidimensionally rich, and there's harmony upon harmony upon harmony throughout all of it, with every aspect. There's so much beauty in that. Everything is so coordinated and coherent and connected, communicating, interacting, responding with each other. It's a dance, it's music, it's poetry, it's song. And we touch on that with the song ceremony. That's how we find what our song is. We feel it for the first time in many years. Remember, we're born feeling and knowing it. It's natural to us. That's our natural way of being. And it's the natural way of being of everything that's in our universe, everything around us. And that, there's so much love in there. There's so much diversity. The universe loves diversity, and it has really outdone itself and keeps outdoing itself from one minute to the next, creating more diversity, more things that are another version of, another experiment of. There's incredible beauty in that, and surprise and passion for being alive. Our song has a huge passion for being alive, experiencing its own aliveness, and the aliveness of everything else is sharing this aliveness. And that is a different kind of beauty in itself. The Navajo people, who aren't too far from here, the native tribes, probably a name that's more known to most of the people out there. The Navajos have a very, very rich spiritual tradition. And a big part of that is this thing that they call beauty. And it's not just a painting that's done in a very favorable way and is pretty, it's beautiful to look at, or a piece of music or song that is pretty to hear. It's so much deeper and richer than that. It's this beauty of life, beauty of aliveness. They have a phrase that says, I walk in beauty. I live in beauty. Beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty to the left of me, beauty to the right of me, beauty above me, beauty below me. I'm on the beauty path. And it has little variations. It's part of many of their songs and their prayers. They walk in beauty. And I would say that the Hedicas, the Peruvian people, the pre-dynastic Egyptians, or probably more accurately, pre-flood Egyptians, this is a concept that they lived with, and those their descendants who carry on the teachings to this day, they live that way, with that way of feeling and thinking about themselves, about who and what they are, and about everybody and everything else around them, the world that they're in, and all their daily life and activity. It's a way of being. It's a way of life. Very, 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 very ancient, and held intact by a number of people, different parts of the world. They worked hard to keep this intact, to keep this knowledge and this experience alive and passing it from generation to generation. So very specifically, they could give it out to the world now, when this world is ending. It's time to pass it out to the world and share it again so that people can remember and be it again, be out of the box again. So raising your kids in the Katasi way, the Peruvian way, the pre-flood Egyptian way, and so many other ancient traditions, they don't judge. They don't condemn. The Hedika tribe, they don't have a word for judgment, for condemnation. They don't have a word for it. And if you could just kind of imagine for a moment, what would that be like? What would that feel like to live in a culture that doesn't use the concept? They don't have the concept. They don't have a word for it. To throw black energy darts at others or other things. The Hedicas used to use a story, a picture. Everything was stories and pictures. That's how they taught. Being in the grocery stores, people in the modern culture, they can't even go into the grocery store, go down the aisle with the toilet paper. I mean, really, we got these big aisles, and the whole thing's filled with different brands and different types of toilet paper. And then you go down the aisle and you're looking for the one that you think you like the best. And while you're doing that, you see these other brands, and you think something demeaning about the other brand. Oh, that stuff's just crap. Who wants that? Oh, that's overpriced. Nobody should be buying that. How dare them charge that much money? And they go on, condemning and belittling, throwing black energy darts at every roll of toilet paper, every brand that they pass by, until they find the one that they like, and they walk off with that one. We learn to live that way all day, every day. If we just stop and look at our lives, take account. What are we doing? What are the other people doing? They're belittling, they're condemning, judging with black darts. Everything, every funny little thing. Something that just rubs them the wrong way, or they stub their toe on something. Well, whatever that was shouldn't be there. So it gets condemned. We do it to people. I think most people are probably familiar with the driving experience, especially if you're the one behind the wheel. And, people drive crazy, they do weird things, and you can almost have an accident if you're not paying attention. And we seem to just have it's a freebie. It's a free for all. You hop in the car, you're in the road. You can now cuss everybody out to your heart's content and throw the darts and demean and, cussing and saying how stupid and ignorant and awful all these other people are. We do that with everything all day long. We don't even realize it. It is our habit in the box. And we learn in these teachings, in this way of life with song and connectedness and awakeness and love. You don't have to be that way. You don't have to think that way. You don't have to feel that way. If you just pay attention to every time you've spoken those words, either to yourself in your head or out loud, you're feeling, you have the frustration, you have anger, you have this anger at what you're thinking is the stupidity of other people or the meanness of other people or the awfulness of that product, or everything is an excuse for negative thinking. That's only one little piece of our daily life and behavior, habitual, automatic pilot, habitual behavior that we learn in the box. When we're not in the box, we don't do that. We're not on automatic pilot anymore. And we don't have to feel all that anger and ugliness and the fear that comes up with other things we're condemning. And it's the list of all that stuff just goes on and on and on. So living in the box, living out of the box, you pick. What sounds better? What feels better? What seems more enticing? And I got to tell you that this way of life is real. And it has been real for millions and millions and millions of years, billions of years maybe. It was given to us from people from the stars. It's been around a long time. And they want us to learn how to not create boxes and not live in boxes, but to have real life experience of our real selves and everything else that's here available on our incredible planet. So what are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I just enjoyed that.
I think you said it all, Kay.
I do too.
If I could add one thing, in my experience, the more I started to feel that connection to everybody and everything, the more it was easier to let go of what you call the no-nos and just love everybody. That, the judgments all drop away.
Yeah.
And it's a possibility to live that way. Yeah, the call of your song, very powerful.
Not having opinions was so freeing. It was, I remember the first time you said you don't have to have an opinion. I suddenly was acutely aware of every moment of every day, someone trying to garnish my opinion in their direction instead of allowing me to just collect information. I mean, it's so mind blowing. And maybe that's one thing parents can start teaching kids is they don't have to have an opinion. They can just experience and collect data. I mean, I'm still working through that habit of not having an opinion, but it was Kay saying you don't have to have an opinion. It was like this, like, what? And it shouldn't have been that physicalness about it. They really didn't need it, but all of a sudden it was like, I mean, it's such a simple thought, but it was so freeing when I started practicing it. Like suddenly, I mean, you watch news, you have a conversation with a friend, they're already vying for your opinion constantly. They want you to believe, have a new belief based off of their experience and join their opinion. I caught myself doing that to people. I still do. I mean, I'm working on it, but I can honestly say that the freedom that's available by not having an opinion. I mean, you can have one, but base it on that direct experience I'm encouraging my nephew to have. You know, it's this just freeingness. It's freedom. You don't have to have an opinion. There's no rule that says you either like it or you don't like it. There's no rule. Thanks, Kay.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Can I add one more thing? Sorry.
Ouch, she's on.
Too late.
The experience of feeling that connection of everybody and everything, that love that's permeating everything. Once you get that experience, then you don't have to feel like you have to get love from everybody. It becomes an extending love experience as opposed to I got to get love. It's a whole different experience.
Well, you're filling up with enough from here, from yourself, that you don't need those other things.
Yes, because it overflows and you don't have to get it from everybody else.
Yeah, you don't. They do. You're like, great, that's fabulous, but this is enough. You're enough.
It's really hard to explain that if you haven't experienced it.
Yeah,
but
you got to experience.
That experience is out there for everyone to reach for.
It goes hand in hand with always looking for others for their acceptance and their approval. And when we're in the box, we're asleep, we're in that culture. That's practically what we live for, is the approval of other people. And when we know we have felt our own song, it's so full of love and approval, and it's so glorious, and you realize that's you. You don't need approval coming from outside, because the who and what you are is so magnificent and always has been. We're very ancient, and we're very, as teachers would say, vast, huge. Ancient beyond belief, beyond knowing. So we've been around the block, a lot of blocks, probably a few times. And all kinds of different experiences and understanding, knowledge, the wisdom that's gained becomes part of us, part of our song, part of our knowingness, inherent knowingness. And you experience that. So other people's approval is just You're not grasping for it. You're not begging it. You're not groveling around doing all kinds of things you don't want to do just to get their approval, to get their attention, to be okay in the eyes of others. And that is so freeing. As a real big piece of the box disappears when you experience that. Freedom, real freedom. The ancients talk about real freedom, and that's what this is. Real freedom. Through history, humanity, people have done the wildest, weirdest, most awful kinds of things, crazy, crazy things, just because they need approval from somebody else or from some other group. They have to be accepted. And that means being accepted from a whole gang of others that are all asleep. They're all in their own boxes. There's no way you're ever going to appease any of them all the time. It's an illusion to get their approval, because their approval changes. It's, it's kind of like the wind. Fog disappears in the wind.
I have this meme stuck in my head. It's not quite appropriate.
Probably going to say it.
I can pass. I'm good.
You good? Oh, now
Okay.
everybody's just dying. No, the meme is.
The meme. Everybody just wants to be loved and accepted, except for free thinkers. Free thinkers don't give a shit. It's a little crass, but I think it makes the point.
It does.
So thank you. Thank you, Diana, for the question. Thank you for, glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for your comment. Patrice, so nice to have you here and so beautiful. And thank you for your beautiful words about all of us.
Yeah.
And right back at you, all of it. Anita, thank you for your comment, and Polly as well. So beautiful. Thank you for joining us live. Love this. This is so just beautiful and healing. Any more thoughts?
I'm good.
I think I ran out.
All right.
Yeah.
Everybody, enjoy your day. Walk in beauty. Love you. See you next time. Oh, remember the gratitude ceremony tomorrow. Gratitude and
Yes.
song ceremony tomorrow morning.
And it is 6
Mountain time, 6 a.m. Mountain time. The details are in the emails and the forums. All right. Love you. Thank
Love
you
you.
so
Love you
much.
guys.
Love you. Love you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you too.